in the now burning club, Niall sprinted over. His recent marriage to Lady Diana, a duke's daughter, hadn't managed to erase that indelible part of who he'd always been. "Enough," he barked, quickly putting himself between Riker and Adair. "I'm not leaving," Adair repeated, and resolutely planted himself on the pavement. Their other brother of the street, Callum, calm by nature, even when presented with fire, abandoned the staff he'd been speaking to and joined them. "What is it?" "How is he so damn calm?" "This one," Adair jerked his chin at Riker, "wants to leave," while their dreams burned down around them. "Nothing can come of us watching this," Riker countered, motioning to the blaze. Adair lifted frantic eyes up to the cracked and shattered windows. Before any of his siblings could speak, the words rasped from Adair's throat. "This place is our very existence." This was the dream that had sustained them when they'd not allowed themselves that whimsy. "It got us through freezing winters, vicious knife fights, and ruthless beatings by MacDiggory, and now you'd have us simply walk away." There was a frantic timbre to his voice that hadn't been there since he was a boy, watching his birth family and their bakery burn down in a similar conflagration. The fight seemed to go out of the trio, just as it always did with mention of their former gang leader, MacDiggory. Dead these 2 years now, he lived on still in their minds, and also in the actions of the men and women who'd sworn their fealty to that devil, and who'd taken on the cause of revenge after Adair, Riker, Callum, and Niall's sister Helena had ended the bastard. It hadn't mattered that a place beside Satan in the flames of hell was too good for that ruthless whoreson. He'd beaten, killed, raped, and pillaged, and yet he'd earned the eternal fealty of a few. "It was Killoran," Adair whispered. Broderick Killoran, the owner of the Devil's Den, their rival club, was to blame. Over the years, the battle for supremacy between them had played out not upon the streets, but in the fine clubs resurrected with stolen riches. "He's been trying to ruin us since he inherited from Diggory." His brothers stopped talking, and their silence stood as their agreement. "And we trusted him to honour an oath of peace," Adair spat. After Diggory's now dead wife had captured Diana, it had been Killoran's family who'd led Niall back to her. Adair and his brothers had struck a dangerous alliance, only now to be proven fools for letting their guard down. "They said they trust him." "But I'm just as responsible, because I did so, even against my better judgment." The hot-tempered one of their group, Niall shed his earlier control. "This ain't my fault," he growled, surging toward Adair. Callum and Riker swiftly caught them each by an arm. "It ain't your fault," Adair spat in the street. "It's all our fault. We all let our guard down." It was one of the most basic rules for survival, and they'd been lax, and it had cost them their club. Bile stung his throat, and he choked it back. "Enough," Riker gritted out. He looked pointedly at the ashen employees scattered about. They stared on with fear in their gazes. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Adair's shoulders. It was the only thin thread that kept him from giving in to the panic, tearing at the corners of his mind. It re-established purpose. Purpose was good. It kept him from giving in to despair. The men, women, and children behind them depended upon the club for their very existence. They'd been loyal workers and deserved more than this uncertainty and fear. "We need to see to them," Riker said in grave tones. A large burned corner of the stucco establishment tore away and tumbled to the alley, falling atop a pile of debris. That crumbling ushered in a new flurry of tears and agonized moans from the men, women, and children around them. "We've survived worse," Callum said somberly, ever the optimist of their core group. "We will survive this." He spoke with the same confidence he'd had when they'd been boys, without a roof over their heads in the winter months. Callum flexed his jaw. "And we'll grow stronger." Yes, they'd survived worse. Adair briefly closed his eyes,